Hi, Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. Here is your horoscope for July 2025. I'm Astrologer Joseph Anthony. All right, we know now that your ruler, Jupiter, has now entered a new sign. If you've been following my astrology, last month I talked about it. And now it is going to be highlighting this 8th house for an entire year in the sign of Cancer, which it does very well. So Jupiter does work well in Cancer. And so we start off the month with this 8th house of transformation, rebirth, change. And this has a lot to do with finances, but also psychological change. So we start off the month with Jupiter in a very interesting position in terms of change that's taking place. So many of you are noticing the changes inside of you and the people around you. And speaking of people around you, Venus and Uranus are both going to be switching signs this month and going into Gemini, your 7th house. So your relationships are about to take a major change. And so we also have retrogrades this month, including Mercury. Mercury's going to go retrograde. Neptune's going to go retrograde. Saturn's going to go retrograde. This will be 4 planets in retrograde, which means there could be people from the past, situations from the past that resurface in your life. So if you're a Sagittarius sun or a rising sign in Sagittarius, this pertains to you. It is a very general, basic overview using sun sign Western astrology, using the tropical whole house system. It's very generic. It's very basic because everyone's birth chart is different. Everyone's birthday is different under that sign. And so this is just a foundation. This is sun sign astrology where we place the sign on the first house of identity and self. And we just use a whole house system to give you a general view of where everything is. Okay, so your chart, your birth chart may be a little different. But anyway, it's still going to have accuracy. So we're starting off the month with this energy that is very weird and wonky. We have the sun highlighting the 8th house along with Jupiter. So this is about the deep part of life. You're wanting to know what this transition's all about. Where am I in life? Where am I going? Do I want to move? Is my family secure? Do I need to change? So all of these questions really came up last month, but now they continue into this month. Also because there's going to be a lot of activity with other people, as I said, in the 7th house. And so we're seeing Mars at the top part of your chart, which has to do with your status, career. You're focusing a lot of your attention on creative endeavors or focusing on health matters or taking care of somebody else, whatever's going on in your personal life. But your mind is definitely changing for sure as Pluto continues to go retrograde in the 3rd house of communication. So you're questioning everything, and which is totally normal at this time as we're going through this massive transition worldwide. But everything really starts on the 4th of July when Venus enters Gemini, which is your opposite sign. And Venus in Gemini is going to make you more curious about everything. Important conversations with other people, or maybe you find that you're helping others in some way. And so for the next 5.5 weeks or so, Venus making its way through the 7th house is going to bring new people to you. So Venus going through the 7th house is going to bring in all kinds of relationships, friendships. Venus in Gemini loves to talk. It loves to communicate. And you're one of the signs that loves to learn and understand things. So with Venus going through this part of your chart, you're definitely going to want to connect with more people. Whether it's in a supermarket, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, whatever it is, it's going to ramp up the energy with communication with other people, which is totally normal when we have Venus going through that sign. Now, here is the first of 3 planets that are going to go retrograde this month. So later on the 4th, we have Neptune here in stationary position in the 5th house. Now, this is not really a big deal. It's going to slow us down. It's subconsciously. And Neptune represents spiritual matters. And so it's in the 5th house of creativity, love, children, speculation, having fun. So this is going to bring back projects from the past, situations from the past involving your children or a loved one, or anything that, pertains to the past in some creative manner. And so this is going to be a long retrograde for at least 4 months or so. And so you're going to be revisiting the past slowly, subconsciously, thinking about where you've been and the partners you've had and all the creative endeavors that you've been through. That's what Neptune's going to do. It's going to sort of light up your imagination, but it's more internal because it's retrograde. Now, the other thing that's going to happen this month, which is huge, Uranus enters Gemini for the first time in so many years, and that is going to begin to revolutionize your relationships as well. So over the course of the next 7 years, Uranus is going to make its way through the seventh house. So it's purging time. It is attracting people that are different and unusual. It is thinking outside the box. It is wanting to be around people that are much more stimulating. Uranus in Gemini loves to be different, loves to think outside the box. It loves to be sort of mentally stimulated. Because Uranus in Taurus was a much slower energy. It had to do with our values, our belief systems, the material world. But now that it's in the seventh house, all relationships are on the table over the next 7 years. So if you're not happy in a current situation, whether it's business or personal, you may be saying bye-bye, sayonara, or your partner may be doing that because Uranus loves freedom. And in Gemini can be very fickle and, not really commitment oriented. And so, again, I'm being very general here because your chart may be different, but overview is saying strange encounters with people, weird dynamics, things out of the ordinary are going to be the theme with this Uranus in Gemini for the next 7 years. So prepare yourself for some major changes in that department. Now, the full moon this month in Capricorn on the 10th highlights the second house of income and values. So this is really all about what you believe in, where you've been, have you achieved your goals? But this has to do with the physical side of life, things like possessions, money, investments. So these are all going to be on the table as well during this full moon. Full moons bring things to light. Whatever's hidden comes to the surface. So you can make a decision, or you could, decide to move on, or you could come to terms with the choices you've made, especially in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is karma. It's associated with Saturn. So it's karma. It's the effort that you put in and got rewarded by, And so this is what this means. And so there's going to be that push and pull between the sun and the moon, and both of them are security driven. So you may be concerned about someone else's well-being. Do I have enough money to pay for my kids' college? If I want to move and remodel, do I have enough money for this? So there could be a lot of concerns over financial matters as well, or at least thinking about financial matters. So this is the kind of full moon we have here. Now, Saturn is the next planet to go retrograde here on the 13th, right there. Now, Saturn has a completely different feel than Neptune. Neptune is more like your ruler Jupiter. Let's go along, let's be creative, let's make things happen. Yeah, everything's great. But Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn is Father Time, forcing you to slow down and do things the hard way, because it wants you to put the effort in. So Saturn is in Aries, and it's stationary right there, and it will go retrograde for 4.5 months as well. And so we have both of these planets at this point retrograding in the fifth house, which means that over the course of the next 4.5, 5 months or so, let's say, relationships with your children may be difficult, or there needs to be an extra effort, or maybe a loved one, you're not on the same page anymore. Maybe you're working on a creative project that, your team is just not on the same page, so you're reconsidering everything. You see, maybe you have a business that's, online, or you're self-employed, and you're like not quite sure which way to turn with this business and this endeavor and what you got yourself involved in. You see, so this is what I mean by the next 4.5, maybe even 5 months, will you be questioning all of this. Now, both of these planets will go retrograde back into Pisces, into this fourth house, and they will stay there for, I think it's about a month and a half or so. and then they'll come and retrograde back out in 2026 in February, and they'll come back into this house. So there's unfinished business having to do with the fourth house, which is the home, feeling, foundation, real estate matters, emotions, your roots, things from the past just naturally resurface when we have planets in the fourth. So this is going to be over the fall season. So let's see where that takes you. Now, Mercury is the third planet to go retrograde this month. Now, Mercury is an inner planet, so that means that it affects us more than the outer planets, and it's more of an immediate effect. So Mercury in Leo is about creativity and speaking your truth and being creative and self-expressive. But when it goes retrograde, it's like, I'm going to turn within and try and figure things out, and I'm not sure I want to speak as loudly as I normally would. And it's the ninth house, which has a lot to do with your belief systems, your sense of adventure, the meaning of life, purpose, religion, politics. This all falls under the umbrella of the ninth house. So you'll be questioning all of that as Mercury makes its way retrograde. And fortunately, the retrograde is only about 3 weeks for Mercury. So, it'll move out of there. I believe it'll move out of, it'll go direct in August 11th, but then it'll move out of Leo on September the 2nd, I believe. But this retrograde period, once again, now this makes the fourth planet to go retrograde here, is going to give you an opportunity with Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde, and Pluto and Mercury retrograde to really think about what your purpose is, what your life is, your creative projects, your family dynamics, who you really are. That's what retrogrades do. They have us questioning the past or the situations and ideas and projects that we're working on from the past resurface, so we could sort of express them again or change them or tweak them in some way. But this is all about thinking and self-expression. It's in Leo. Again, creativity, just like these two in the fifth house. So there's a lot of creativity here for many of you. Could involve your children too. Maybe they don't want to go to college. Maybe they don't want to quit college. Maybe they don't want to change college, schools. It really depends on your own birth chart. Again, I'm just putting out what it means to have this planet going through that house. Now, there's absolutely some good news this month when the sun enters Leo on the 22nd. So this is going to help out a lot because the sun in Leo is a natural. The sun rules Leo, and in the ninth house, it absolutely is more optimistic. It is fun-loving. It's playful. It likes to joke around. It wants to travel. It wants to see things. Okay? So keep that in mind as the sun enters the ninth house. But we also have a new moon in Leo, and that's going to also light up this ninth house. So there could be some new belief systems, new ideas, new concepts, wanting and planning the future. This is very possible here. All I would suggest is pay extra attention to what you're doing because we still have 4 planets in retrograde and Jupiter is in the 8th house of finance. So, be realistic about what you want. How much is it going to cost? Is this move really necessary? That kind of stuff, Is this vacation necessary? So this all falls under the umbrella of the 9th house. But whatever it is, it'll excite you. It'll light a little fire under you because it's in Leo. Leo is probably the closest to a Sagittarius energy. Both energies can be very optimistic and fun-loving and adventurous. You see, Leo and Sagittarius. So this could be something good that comes out of all this, even though the first half of the month seems a little confusing and a little irritating. This energy absolutely helps out a lot. Now, the last aspect we have here is the transit is Venus entering Cancer on the 30th and the 31st. Now, again, Venus in Cancer is a much more cautious position than Venus in Gemini. This is all about family. This is all about, protecting family. This is all about real estate matters. This is all about your emotions and feelings. Venus going through the 8th house could be pretty good for financial matters. So investments and stuff like that. So, but it is more cautious and more sensitive. So with Jupiter and Venus both in Cancer, there could be a time of great sensitivity here, is what I'm seeing now. And there's definitely a transformation of either a relationship or some sort of financial matters that need to be addressed. All right. So there's the overview. If you want to know more, I do an extended version of this in my Inner Circle community, as you can see here. And every Sunday we're on a Zoom call with the members. And I teach astrology there. The members ask me questions every Sunday. We go into some of the events that are taking place where I could talk unfiltered. And, there's a lot to see and do. And, of course, there's a 7-day free trial, so there's no obligation. I left the link down below, and I hope to see you in the community. All right, so have a great month. Do the best you can, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.